Thank you all for being here tonight. How many of you are entrepreneurs in the room? How many of you acknowledge how courageous it is to be an entrepreneur? Have you ever considered that being an entrepreneur is a courageous act? Has anyone ever considered that? It's interesting because most entrepreneurs are just like, they just go for it. For me, I was born an entrepreneur. I was one of those kids that liked having lemonade stands growing up in the Midwest in the summertime. Like, that was the fun thing to do. And did a variety of other things as a kid to express my entrepreneurial spirit. Some of them went well, and some of them were incredible failures. I'd love to share a story about when I was in the 5th grade. We had a fair, and I decided I wanted to be the bank, and I was going to give out small business loans to 10-year-olds. And I made all the forms. I'm kind of an obsessive organizer, and so I had all the forms ready, and I was sure I was going to be the busiest one at the fair. And what do you think happened?
Nobody wanted a business loan.
Nobody cared. Nobody cared. And the idea of getting a small business loan at 10 years old was like thrilling to me. So that gives you some idea that I'm a little bit unusual, which is part of the deal with me. So I want to share a quote with you, that the greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time after we fall, by Nelson Mandela. And for me as an entrepreneur, I have tried so many things and that have just not worked. Has anyone else tried different adventures in, yes? And have they all worked wonderfully? Everyone's like, I'm not going to admit that.
I have not.
So when I was 17, I started my first grown-up business, and I was designing healing jewelry and traveling the country selling crystals and doing energy healing, and that was what I decided to do. So I called my father and told him I wasn't going to university, and
That goes well, right?
he hung up on me. Oops. Oops. So this was the beginning of me being like, okay, well, I can either please my father and community, or I can find a way to do what I love. And at that time, I decided that I was more interested in being true to who I am and figuring out a way than going to university and doing something that I wasn't really that excited about. So all of us come to being an entrepreneur in different ways. And some of us in the room aren't entrepreneurs, but all of us find some way to engage in the world in a meaningful way. So as I grew into my 20s and became a more experienced businesswoman by failing really regularly with different business ideas I had, I was talking to my younger sister, who is the opposite of me in many ways. She does not have the entrepreneurial spirit, and I was always trying to convince her. I was like, this would be a great idea for you, and I would go wild with trying to help her become an entrepreneur. Has anyone in the room ever done that? Like, tried to convince somebody else to change their life, or start a business, or to start an exercise routine or something? Yeah. You can see so clearly what they need, but they don't see it. And so a lot of my 20s was doing that, like trying to convince everybody I knew to be an entrepreneur. It didn't go that well. But in the meantime, I was doing what I loved, and I wanted that for other people. I really wanted to support people in aligning their passion with creating prosperity. And so even though I was trying all these different adventures that didn't work, I was running a successful healing arts business, and I was traveling, and I was doing body work, and I was teaching yoga, and incorporating a variety of healing modalities, and doing what I love, and having a lifestyle that I really enjoyed. So doing the business side of things really came naturally to me. It was something that I started doing as a kid, which then as I started hanging around more creative and spiritual and healer types, I discovered that that wasn't natural for a lot of them. that they were very creative and wanted to go with the flow, but they were like, business structure. I don't need that, I don't want that. I don't even want to pay attention to the fact that I'm running a business. Has anyone ever had that feeling? Maybe a little bit. So there's often that disconnect where we feel that we have to choose between being true to ourselves and being creative and spiritual and having business success. And my passion and what I am built for is supporting people in having both, in creating that integration where it's in alignment with who you are and your story, and it meets a need in the marketplace, and we create a sustainable business model from that. So one of the struggles that I find with my clients is that they want to help everybody. Is anyone else in the room want to save the world? A few of you. So I have this drive in me, and I know a lot of people in this community also want to make a positive difference in the world, which is a beautiful thing. So that story about me in 5th grade, one of the ways that that's true now is I do micro-lending with my business, so that I invest or I lend money to women in other countries to start their own business. So for me, there's a way that all of our stories weave together and can create the life and the business that we most desire. So I want to invite you to dive into right now, what you stand for in your life. What is the core value that is in everything that you do? And what is it that, it doesn't matter what you've done along the way, what is it that's always there? And that is a piece of what you stand for. And I find that when you find what you stand for, and you take a stand for it, literally and metaphorically in your business, you become much more magnetic. So a few years ago, I was at an event, and we started at one side of the room, and we kept walking based on how committed we were to our business. Some of you may have been at that event, or a similar one where they do the same exercise. And it was interesting, the people that stopped at 3 months, I'm committed to 3 months to making my business work. And then all the way on stage was, I am committed for the rest of my life to make my work land and work and to get my message out there. And for me, that changed everything. When it was I took a stand and I was I don't care what I have to do. If I have to, make coffee at Starbucks to make my business work, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And so when you find that core value in you that you stand for, that's when everything changes. When you make that commitment at whatever level is most potent for you, that things will change. So I'd love to invite you to join me for a free call. I have 2 dates. And the first one is Saturday, April 26th at 10 a.m. The second one is Tuesday, April 29th at 4 p.m. And that call is focused on you taking a stand for your body of work, clarifying your message, and making it so crystal clear that it's unwavering in you, and that's going to be communicated out through all of your messaging, through all of your work with your clients, and your community will know you for that. So I would love for you to join me. You can see me at the end, and I'll sign you up for this complimentary training in activating your power to take a stand for your message and your heart work and what it is that you're here to bring to the world. So I'm going to end with another quote by Nelson Mandela. Everyone can rise above their circumstances and achieve success if they are dedicated to and passionate about what they do. Thank you so much.